Okay, so welcome back guys for this episode. We're working on all the silvers and the silver metallics. So obviously we've got the claws on the gauntlet here, some of this pipe work, and this underpiece here, and then obviously on the weapon itself, we're going to go over it all with gold, silvers, metallics, and then come back in and do whatever we need to with the golds. Now the silvers that I've got here are lead Belcher, iron breaker and Stormhost Silver, and obviously we're going to work from the darkest up to the lightest, just like we would with everything else apart from what I did with the gold. So first of all, just going to get my lead Belcher, the lead Belcher, that is the one, and obviously give this a good go over. Obviously being careful not to touch anything that I've done before. Okay, and obviously I'm using the Forge World reference on painting this, just so I can tell where my colours are going. But for the most part, as far as I can tell, we are pretty much all this silver metallic, and then the just a few gold detailings. And obviously I could change this slightly, as there's no obviously definitive law on what colour his gun is, but I'm just going to go with keeping it similar to the Forge World reference. One thing I do like about these Forge World models that I've noticed, and some of the newer Games Workshop ones are doing it, with the barrel holes. There's no need to drill our own. I'm just going to support this a little bit with my finger, because obviously being magnetised, dumping a little bit of pressure on there with the brush is going to make it detach. Although there are strong magnets, you know, you give it a good bump and it is going to fall off. The idea is to hold it there through a game, or especially on display, you know, there's going to be no problem with that. But it's not designed to be dropped and thrown about and still retain the magnetism. You know, you throw this across a room or drop it on the floor even, they are going to detach. And so, just to make sure I don't do it with the brush, give it a bit of support. Because we all need a bit of support in our lives. Right, so that's the gun done. Gundam. Right, then we can move on to the claws. So now, looking at this in the reference photo, this piece, see if we can get this in focus. Alright, there we go. So this piece right along here is gold, and then so are the rivets on his knuckles, and so is, if we can get it, and so is this piece here and here. So these two little areas and the little studs. So basically any of the round stuff is gold. The only one that I'm going to take care not to cover is the knuckles. At the top there, we will do them with the gold. There's no need to go over with the metallic paint here. So I think out of everything that we've done so far, these are probably going to be the easiest part, is doing the gun and the claws here, just because not only are they metallic, they're silver, there's not a huge amount of highlighting that we can do with them. Obviously we're using a darker tone here that we are going to wash with some Nuln oil to darken it up a little bit more, and then we can go in with the Iron Breaker and the Stormhost Silver. Still want to call it Mithril Silver. I'm still on the old paint names. I know it has been years now, but I am trying to remember so as to not confuse you guys. So now just making sure that I get under each claw. You want to go over, under, around, in between, everywhere you can. Make sure that claw is fully painted up. And there we go. Right, next up, like I said, we've got the small piece on his back. And you can see my palette's been a bit too wet here, and some of my Balthazar gold that I've laid out has gone in, run into the lead Belcher. I'm not too concerned about that. You know, as long as I don't pick up the Balthazar gold in this, it'll be fine. If not, then obviously I'll reapply that colour. Now on the reference, this piece is silver, but I can't tell with the piece above it. It does look silver to me. Obviously when I'm saying silver, guys, I do mean iron breaker or, you know, metallic, but it's not gold, so the opposite is silver. But yeah, it does look as though this is, so we will do it. And then that bit in these cables, they do look gold in the reference, and so I will do the same on here. Right, so then the only piping left is the one just under his arm there. And then obviously the two here now, obviously that comes down from just up in there a little bit. Now I could do this by dry brushing and hoping that it picks up all the ridges, but I prefer to make sure it's solid right the way down into the recess, and then add a little bit of Nuln Oil or thin down black to get that colour, or to get those indents to pop back out. So there we go, that is that, and just grab these two either side of here as well. And then just check the back of the arm there. There we go, we've got another one just there. So obviously always important to go through and make sure that you do have everything, especially if it's going to be a display or definitely a competition piece. And obviously I'm doing this for more of a display piece for my personal collection, and to show you guys exactly how I paint for a more detailed character. Right, so that is that done. Now what I'll do is apply a wash of Nuln Oil over all of this, and then allow that 10 to 15 minutes to dry, and then we can come back in and highlight that up and then add the gold. Right, so the same size toothbrush, nothing overly fancy, and all I'm going to do if it's the same as the gold, I'm going to use it to darken up obviously the metal, but if I can get it onto a flat edge, see if I can get one to show you guys. If the camera picks it up. No, sorry guys, can't quite see it. What I'm trying to do, hopefully we can get it on this one. So, if you guys can see around the barrel there, we've got the barrel of the shroud. This bit here. Now obviously it has an edge around the edge of it all. And what I try to do, I'm doing this from behind the camera, looking through the camera. If I can get this to work, I'm trying to get it to sit in that edge, but pull away a little bit from the outside edge, so it sits just in the middle. And what that's going to do is darken up that middle area, but leave that edge brighter, so that it gives it a highlight. It's not too much of an issue if it doesn't. Obviously I'm going to be going in and highlighting it anyway, but if I can get it there, then it just adds that extra little bit of highlight from the already underlying silver. Now obviously a lot of this under area is going to be shaded, so it'll be pretty much left the known oil, and then the tops will be highlighted. But if I can get as much definition out of the oil as possible around rivets and little buttons and such, and that makes highlighting in the next layer a lot easier. And then just across the pipes. So now try and get this to sit in them. Right, there we go. So I'm gonna leave that for now, and then we'll let that dry and then come back. Okay, so now we've got this quite sort of grime and darky look to this. I'm now going to come back in with the lead Belcher, and I'm just going to add some highlight areas. Now bear in mind my light source is coming down pretty much this angle here, and so all of this kind of area is where it's going to be a little brighter, and under here obviously the tops of the barrels and such. Now this isn't going to stand out too different to it, and we can see there I've got some of the Balthazar gold into the lead Belcher, so I'm just going to pour a bit more. There we go. Now here I'm using my smallest brush, which is a size 2.0, and obviously all I'm doing is pretty much going back over and just leaving those recessed areas where the oil sort of seeped into. So for example, just in there, in that barrel area, and I will get another area because another oil wash, because that is going to be gold in there. So now obviously looking at this angle, there's quite a few sort of edges that are going to be exposed to that light coming down from the top. But I do want to leave some of that oil look in there. And then on the inside here, I can leave it a little bit darker and just more pick off edge highlights. Right, and then obviously the underside here is going to be quite dark, so just going to paint around the edge a little bit. There we go. Right, so what we'll do, we'll finish the gun and then go back over and repeat the same process on the other side, on the gauntlet. Right, so now I'm moving up to the iron breaker, and again we've got this edge that's going to have this nice sort of bright highlight, and then just pick off some of these studs. I will only use this as an edge highlight around these edges, as they are on the sort of the vertical, running with the light. Right, and we can do obviously along the tops of these and a little bit just around the edge here, and then the same with here. Again, we can do this a little bit lighter just because of where the light's going to be coming down. So again, just around the edges. And then these barrels, they're going to have a highlight that comes down the length of them due to them being cylindrical. And then edge highlight down along here, and then along there like so. And finally, moving on to the Stormhost Silver, we can add those bright highlights on these metallic areas. So once again, coming down this edge on the cylindrical, and then just picking off the edge highlights along here. And obviously with this being the brightest highlight, we won't be going anywhere near the underside or the inside of here. And we'll just keep it to these exposed edges. And what we can do with this is just add in a few scratches because it's the brighter colour. We can add these in. And we can also do that under here ever so slightly, just add a few bright scratches like so. Right, now apologies for the bright light there, but hopefully you can see now we've got that gun popping out with some of those edge highlights. Right, so now we can move on to the other side. Right, so again, this top edge is going to be the brightest, so we can pick that back up with the lead Belcher and get that nice and clean on top, obviously leaving a little bit of the Nuln Oil just around some of those edges. And then the same coming down the back here, we can pick off this edge with it all, and as we get the fingers go underneath, we'll leave that a little bit more with the stained silver, and that will give it that bit of shadow then. And then obviously as the blades come back out on this side, they're going to catch some of that light. So we can just add a little bit of highlight to each one, like so. So as I said, nothing overly complicated with the silver on this. Right, then we move in with the iron breaker and do the same thing. We will edge highlight the top here, and obviously this edge. And then just edge highlight some of these, the edge of some of these upper claws, and then back on the inside we'll just edge highlight along here. And then finish that off with the Stormhost Silver. So again, final edge highlighting on the upper exposed edges. And then just a little bit on the bottom of these ones. Right, now for the pipes I'm going to use the iron breaker with a 50-50 mix of the Stormhost. The reason being is they are way too small an area to work with, you know, building up like we've just done. But we can get some sort of, you know, little bit of highlight in there. Now obviously we've got some of the highlight caused by the lead Belcher that was there first. And then all I'm going to do is very carefully barely touch this across the top of the metal, just to pick off those raised parts of the pipes, and just a little bit just on the top portion of that there. For the underside, same again, but we don't have to worry about getting it, you know, completely detailed with this. So again, I'm trying to pull the brush flat and then just work that flat edge coming across the bumps. And then again, we're going to have this shine right across this top section, just on the curve. Right, and then I can come in now with the Stormhost Silver, and again working with a flat brush, just very carefully, barely going towards it. Just touch the top of each of these, just on the top area where the light's going to catch. So obviously the ones under the arm I'm not too worried about. Hopefully we can see that there. So obviously we've got darker towards the outside edges, and then we've got that nice line of bright highlight along the middle there. Right, so now with all that done, we can go in and do the golds on the gun and the glove here. So all we'll do, we'll start on the glove side, seeing as there's less over here with the Belcher gold. I'm just going to dot in or touch in anything that should be gold, obviously keeping an eye on the reference for where those areas are. Now all of this was gold. And then the rivets and studs. And then underneath we have this little circular section here, and that's that for the gold there. On the gun we've got this section in here. Now I can't get in between that, it's near impossible. I can barely see in between there, so I'm not going to worry too much about getting the paint there. I will get it just in the top, as when you look down you can see it a little bit. Then we've got what looks like this little whatever it is on a gun, the bit that they pull back and that moves and spits the bullet out. Not sure what it's called, but it's gold. Then this here and this stud here. And then on the inside I'm assuming it would be the same on these. And then also the lower barrel has the end caps in gold as well. So obviously grab along here. Right, now as far as I can tell, looking at the reference, that is all the gold done. So we will now go through and highlight that with some Retributor armour. Probably a bit too much on the palette there, but that's fine. In fact, way too much on the palette there. Right, so this one here is going to be pretty much gold all over, or the bright gold. Same with this one, and also the stud here. And then on the back here going to touch the top of each of these. And then edge highlight. And just touch in between. And what that will do is leave a darker line along this back edge that touches the red, and then just around each of the studs there, and then I can just pick off these ones as well. Right, and that's those done, and then I can do the same with these. Now, as the light is coming from pretty much here, all of this is going to be bright. The same with here and here, but the underside here won't be. That will be the darker gold, and then you can go just down here a little bit and along these, just touch some of the edges. Now I've just noticed I've got some gold on the barrel there. That's not a problem. Just go back in and touch that up in a bit. I'm also going to do these two in the gold, and I did forget the two cables here with that box. I can do this and then come back with the Balthazar and just pick that, darken some of that box up a little bit. Right, and then just a little bit of that lead Belcher, and over there we go, fixed. Right, and looking at it, that is all of the metallics done, bringing us to the completion of the armour. Now the only exception to this is obviously the gold around the trim of the boots here will need touching up. Obviously the blue tack's going to be wearing at it. That will be done when I attach them to the base. In terms of everything else, I've got this eye here to do with the reds, and what I'm going to do is change the eyes in each of these and give them a bit more of a fiery look to them and make them look like an eye that I've seen on some of the books. So a little bit of orange, I think I did do it on this one, a little bit of orange and yellow highlights. This one obviously I did it the same as the red on the outside, so I will change it the same with these. Also the centre slit that would be the eye here, this cat's eye type piece, I've done it gold here, and there is a small one just under the snake's head here. What I'm going to do is do them in black. As looking closely at the reference photo, they are in fact black. So that brings us to the end of this video, guys, and what we'll do next video is the bits that I just mentioned, and go through and completely sort of touch up, neaten up, and add the final edge highlights and such to the completed model. And then we can paint up his base, which I will do off camera, get him attached to that, and then paint up his head. So next video, guys, will be, like I say, the touch-up and his head. So, till next time, guys, take it easy, keep painting those minis.